Hi, Misha here, and it's another gun of the day. And I picked this one mostly because I had it out for a different video, kind of background filler. And that's kind of the place this one has resided for a few years, background filler. And it's a shame. Because at one time these were very good guns, and really your only option for a 5.45 RPK. This is a kit build done ages ago by Vector Arms, who's no longer in business. It was built ostensibly using a Bulgarian RPK-74 kit with original barrel on a Nodak. Those were, I can't remember the NDS number, doesn't matter, receiver. But in reality they were actually Russian Malat kits that were sent to Bulgaria and were either scrubbed and remarked or may have just been sent over as parts and assembled there, because they do have the Arsenal marking on them. And the kits were late 80s dated. This is my second one of these. I've only had it a few years, but my kind of history with these guns in general goes back to, well, I can't remember exactly when Vector started offering these. It was 2005, 2006, in that time frame. These kits were never common, and were always pretty pricey. People say 700, 750 kits came in. I have no way of knowing if that's numbers true or not, but it goes to show that they weren't everywhere, and they weren't a dime a dozen. And there were very few makers building them. Most of the kits were sold to people who just did them. But Vector was one. I looked at it on their website, and they were pretty pricey for that day and time. They were around $1,000, $1,100. They came with one, well, they called it 40 round mag. It was actually 45 round. And they did come with the sling that had the pad on it, which was kind of neat. Cleaning kit. And on the website they showed them with wood furniture. But I called them, and they said, oh, we have some plum, but we don't advertise it because it has small nicks and dings. You know, the wood we can refinish and make look new. We want to sell guns that look new. But the plum, the polymer, there wasn't much they could do with. So they didn't really market it. But as soon as I heard they had plum, I was interested. I worked with / for a dealer at the time. I got dealer pricing, and it was around $800, $8.25. Vector was always pretty fair at their dealer pricing, leaving us enough room. That's why for years I sold their stuff. And I ordered two, one for me and one for a buddy. And back then you had the option with or without side scope rail. Again, they were matching kits with original barrels. And they came in, and I was pretty stoked. There weren't a lot of RPKs available. The AS-10B kind of had 7.62, 3.9 covered. And while Vepers were available in 2007, they were all the sporter version, be it 16 or 20 inch barrel. We didn't get the RPK Vepers till much later, and of course those in small numbers. So this was really your choice, a kit built by whoever, if you wanted an RPK in the 74 caliber. I had my original one for a few years, and then I sold it when prices went up. But I always kind of missed it. And, yeah, a few years ago I picked up this one. More than I sold the original one for, but not by a whole lot. And when this came to me, it had the wood on it. I pulled it off. I got a set of basically new, old stock plum, put it on. And has kind of a gloss finish. I don't believe it came from Vector with this. I believe the first owner did that. But it's all here. Originally, Vector would ship these with a M16 Birdcage for, U.S. parts reasons. Even though it was threaded 14x1 left hand. But this is the original kind of Bulgarian / Russian style Birdcage. And I seriously considered selling this gun when I got my Vepr FM RPK-74 because there's not a lot of differences at the outset, but I just never could make myself sell it. For one thing, it is wearing the plum, and it is a fixed stock gun, whereas the Vepr is, of course, modern, black, and it has the folder, even though it looks similar. And even though I take the Vepr out more to shoot, just never could get myself to sell this old gun. It's just something I had history with. I remember how excited I was years upon years ago now when I first got the original one. Like I said, 2007, late in the year. I remember it was kind of fall, September, October. And you know, those memories stick with you. So I have good memories with this type of gun, and that often is a big contributing factor to ones I decide to keep. You know, alternatively, if a gun kind of has negative memories for me, even if it's a good gun, I end up kind of just letting it go. You know how that goes. But yeah, I thought this would be a fun gun of the day, especially with the interest. I've always been a sucker for 5.45, which is why I bought that SAR-2 so early. And I've always been a sucker for the RPK, which is why I bought an AES-10B early. So putting them together is kind of a no-brainer. And it's hard to knock on mallet quality, even if it's a kit build. The only US parts, the Nodak 1.5mm receiver. Everything else is the original, including the bulge trunnion, the thick top cover, windage rear sight, heavy long barrel with bipod, all that good stuff. So that's my gun of the day. Any questions or comments, as always, feel free to post them below. And as always, we greatly appreciate you. And if you'd like to help support the channel, as always, please click on the link to our Patreon. This is Misha, and I'll catch you very soon next time.